What's up guys, welcome back to my channel where we're making a game similar to the game The Binding of Isaac. In this video I'm going to show you how you can paint rocks into your rooms using the terrain feature. You can't interact with the rocks, but they're drawn with like the video cards, so you can have like a lot of them without it really affecting your performance. But before we get into that, let's go through the updates. So the first thing that I added was this sign. So if you walk into the ring, this is in all of the start rooms. This is going to be part of the quest, or like the storyline. So if you go to certain rooms and different floors, you'll be able to walk into like a sign and find out what's kind of going on in the story and that kind of stuff. So you walk into it, you get like this pop-up and it says welcome to Stick Wizard and gives you like the memo of whatever. I've updated the God mode, so it no longer makes your character big, but it makes your character glowy. This is probably also going to be the effect of one of the angel items. So there's two circles that are on like the floors, and we've covered the devil room so far. Like we added the devil room to the game, but we didn't add like the angel room. So this will probably be one of the effects that you can get if you go into the angel room and pick up a specific item. It might not be this blindingly bright, but yeah. So instead of it going to your massive character, it just changes you into like a glowy character. I've changed the item room doors and the shop room doors so that they're more glowy, so they kind of look a little bit cooler. I'm probably gonna update it from that as well. I'm probably going to draw a better door, make a better model than that, but yeah, it's updated. When you come back from one of the devil rooms now, it will actually spawn the portal to the next level. So if you went through the devil portal and got the devil items and you came back, the portal would actually not be there because it gets deleted when you leave the room. So that's fixed, and the portal actually works now, so you can go to the next level. And the next level is fully working. So the only thing you need to do is to make another level now, and this is what we're going to be doing. Is in the second level, I've cleared out all of the rooms that were there, and so there's only one of each type of room right now, but I'm going to be deleting them. So for example, this start room, I've only added one of the start rooms, so this is the only one that can spawn right now. What we'll be doing is we'll be doing like a theme for each of the levels. So the first level was like kind of like a castle theme or dungeony looking, but I think for the theme for the second level, I'm gonna have there was one of the rooms in the previous level. Let's go back to the previous level and I'll show you. I think it's one of the corner rooms. It might be there's this corner room that has like an obelisk in it. I think the second level is, because we're going through like a purple portal, the potentials for second level is going to be like purple stuff that kind of like it's still kind of dark and like kind of ominous, but it just has like a cool look. And I think you could have like cube monsters and stuff like that kind of go with the theme of the level. But I'm going to be moving this to the second level and not have it on the first level, because the first level is only going to be castle themed. And then I'm also going to have it so like if you go to the next level, there's multiple possibilities and you can maybe unlock different possibilities. That's a lot of work, so we'll get to that when we get to it. I've added a lot of new items to the game. So there's this red energy item. Oh, it's under the ground. Oh, it's invisible. Okay. It scales, so when it spawns on the item room pedestal, it actually scales. It's not supposed to be dragged into the game like that, but anyway, it's just like an item and you can pick it up, and when you do, you get like this cool red energy attack. And so there's many new staffs and items that I've added to the game that add like a lot of cool spell effects and like attacks and stuff like that. There's like a blue version of this as well. I've also been working on this bug monster, so he's like kind of like a mechanical like little ant thing. He's gonna like burrow into the ground, and then he's gonna like pop up out of the ground, and then he's gonna like attack you from like under the ground. It's gonna have like a kind of like a rocky explosion effect around where he comes out of the ground. So this is gonna be pretty cool. I've already kind of made the animation for him. So like he dives into the ground and you won't be able to see him during that. So I didn't really animate the under part. Maybe I should, but so he goes under the ground and then he comes up and he like, he's got like this crazy like attack thing going. It still has to be, this is not the final variant of it, but I think it looks pretty cool. And I still have to paint him and do a bunch of work and make him look a little bit more metallic. Okay, so now we actually are going to do what, the terrain thing. So this is what I'm going to show you today. So I'm going to show you how you can paint these rocks on. This is such a cool effect, and it adds so much to the game because we're doing like a dungeon kind of theme. Being able to paint rocks on the ground is like super cool. So let's duplicate. I'm just going to duplicate this room and I'll call it 4. And so yeah, and then I'm going to delete the terrain I already have in here. Great. So this is the way that the start room looked before the rocks. And so to create a terrain, what you could do is you could right click on the floor or anywhere, it doesn't matter. It's just a 3D object terrain. So when you spawn it, it makes this gigantic terrain. And this is what you would use for like your normal level or whatever. You could use it as like the floor and that kind of stuff, but we're not going to do that. Obviously, we already have our own model that we brought in from Blender. So just go into the settings for a second, and the default size is 1,000 by 1,000. That's way too big. So let's just do like 150 by like 150. And we're going to need to move it so that it actually aligns with the thing. And I'm just going to hide the floor as well so that we can put it inside of here, and then we'll put it back after. So let's, oops, that's the floor I'm moving. Terrain. Just grab it and move it in here. So I think it scales from like the top left or something. So when you resize it, it will scale. This part won't go over. This side will go right. So let's make this 165. And we're actually going to not draw this. So you see how it's like, we got like the checkerboard thing here. We're not going to be drawing that. So when you click this button, you'll still be able to see the rocks, but you won't be able to see the bottom thing. So if it doesn't exactly match your room size, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to be able to see it. Let's just turn the height down a little bit. So 145 maybe. And looks like that comes from the top. So let's just grab it and move it up again. And perfect. Okay. So then we want to turn the floor back on. And we want to move the terrain. Oh, we want to move the terrain up so it's above the floor. So that way you can see the objects that you're drawing onto it. And because my floor is not flat, because I brought it in from Blender where the middle of it is kind of like arched upwards, I think I used proportional editing to move the middle upwards because it looks better. So that's why we're just putting the rocks around the edges for right now. You can change the height of the terrain by painting on it. So like if you click paint terrain, there's all these brushes that you can use, and you could raise the terrain in the middle if you want to. So you could do like this if you want to. Okay, so now that we have that, we need a model that we're going to be putting on the ground. So if you go into Blender, our favorite modeling application, you can delete all this stuff. And if you go to the preferences, you can go to add-ons and you can add the extra objects, extra mesh objects is right here. If you don't have it, you can click get extensions and just type extra, and it's one of the options. You click it, you press install. I don't have the option because it's already installed for me. So after you're done that, you can go to mesh and just create a rock. We've done this in a lot of our previous tutorials, so you should hopefully already know how to do this. Make sure you pick a rock that looks cool. Don't pick this rock. Okay, this is trash. So also the details, I'll probably just cut that down to like 1, because if you're drawing, like even though it's using the video card, you don't want to be drawing like, if you put 10,000 rocks on the ground and they're high poly rocks, you're going to have problems. So if you have a rock like this is okay, but you probably just want to rotate it so it's like, you know, like kind of like level to the ground or whatever. Yeah, so this is the perfect example of a rock. Then you would go to the materials and add a material to this. Super important you add a material so that way you can color the rock inside of the game. I'm not going to export this, so when you're done with this, you could go to export FBX and then rock tutorial, there you go, and then just type click FBX unit scale. It's super important for this one that you do Y forward, because we're using the model. There's not a way to rotate it. Well, there is a way to rotate it, but it's a lot easier. Just do Y forward on this. If you don't do Y forward, then it will be sideways and you will have trouble fixing it. You'll have to do like some other stuff to fix it. So anyway, so now that we have our rock, this is the rock that I exported. I changed the scale factor of mine to 15 because I really shrunk the rock in Blender. So you might not have to do that, but to resize it, the terrain doesn't really have like a good resize option. It does actually, but it's easier to resize. Like if you have to massively resize it, like 15 times is like a lot, right? So inside of the details, if you click edit details, you can add a detail mesh. This is where you can select the rock. So mine's called small rock, but yours is going to be named whatever you dragged it into Blender as. And then you can change like the minimum width, the maximum width. All of these settings are pretty self-explanatory. The details is like how much appears. So let's click add. And it's important as well to note that you have these brushes down here, and this controls where the rocks actually spawn. So you can see when I drag this here, you can't see the rocks right away. And that's because you have the distance is set wrong on the thing here. So the detail distance, just turn that up. And I should have left these drawn on there. So now you can see them when you zoom out and zoom in. The default is too far away. So you can see that all of the rocks are gigantic. So we don't really want that. So let's click edit on this. And we're going to set the minimum width to 0.1 and the max to like 1.3 maybe. And then the minimum height can be 0.1 and the maximum height can be 1.3 as well. And yeah, so, and then you can see like the density is really like a lot. So let's go into this. We already know that this is covering the entire floor. So we just want to go into this and turn off draw. So, oh, not that. Turn off draw so we can see the ground that we're actually drawing it on. And so then we can kind of see better what it's going to look like. And so this ends up looking really cool. And again, the density should maybe be less. So let's go into edit and just drag the density down. You can actually draw with this open and change the density amount right here so that you can see it like in kind of in real time. So that's probably good right there. So let's click apply on that. If you hold shift, you can actually erase the rocks that you're making. And I also did this to make cobwebs as well in one of my other rooms that you probably saw at the intro of the video. So I think this really adds a lot to the game. Let me just go back here and we'll just make this like a little bit more. And the height should be a little bit less. Maybe like the max height should be less than that. Let's just do 0.6. Okay, and you can also see that my rocks have varying colors. So the way that you do that is inside of the model, if you go to the materials, you can set a default material on this. So you'll overwrite your material with the material that you create. So if you right click at the bottom, you can click create material like this, and you could drag that material in. We also need a shader so that the rocks can be a random color instead of just being the same color every time. So if you right click at the bottom, you can click create shader graph, URP lit shader graph. And so that's what I did here with this small rock shader. So then inside of that, inside of the material that you're using, in the drop down at the top where you select the shader, you would just type in small rock shader and you would select the one that you want. I'm going to show you the shader that I made. So this is a very basic shader. So we're taking the instance ID, which is just a random number, and we're putting that into the seed of a random range. And the random range is between 0.4 and 0.8. And because if you just feed a number into the base color, it's going to be white by default. So unless you do like a vector, like a 3-number vector, it won't do that. Or you could put a color into these. So it randoms between these two colors. So if you wanted to choose two colors, you could actually put like color here and then color here like this if you wanted to. And so then you could have like between super white and then like a darker gray. And of course, this converts it into vectors and it does it automatically. So let's save that and see what that looks like. Let's just make this blue and click save. Okay, so but none of these are actually blue though. So I think it's just because it's a random range that we're feeding right into the thing. The random range, I don't think you could use colors here because the output is an integer, out 1 instead of out 3. So if you wanted it to be an actual like color and not a shade, you would have to do a different thing. We're not going to bother with that because I kind of like the way this is looking. That's too dark, so we're just going to put this one back to white and save it. But yeah, I think I'm just going to get rid of these and put it back to 0.4, 0.8 because again, it's just a single number output, so you don't actually have to do that. That's how you can random like the color for the rocks. And we did this with cobwebs as well, so I'll just show you how I made a cobweb. This is pretty easy. So instead of Blender, if you create a NURBS curve. So if you create a NURBS curve and you press tab to go into edit mode, delete all of the vertices, and then it's still in edit mode, press 1 on your keyboard so you have like a side view. And if you click this draw button, you can actually draw points. So you could draw part of like a web if you want to, like this, and it will automatically kind of create it for you. And you would just want to make it like tangled together like this. And because you're going to overlay these on top of each other. So like, I don't know. So then you get something like that. And then if you go into the settings over here on the right, you can take the geometry and add a depth to it, which actually gives it some like radius. I'm going to make this as thin as possible. So we'll just do like 0.05 or something. No, that's way bigger than I thought it was. So it kind of makes it stringy. And then you could flatten it out if you wanted. Maybe just make it a little bit less than this. Hang on, let's try 55. Okay, that's perfect. And then after you're done that, you could duplicate it and rotate it if you want to. So let's do shift. Actually, just go to right click and convert it to a mesh, and then press tab to go into edit mode. And you can select everything and press shift D and then R and Z. So that is rotated, but it's kind of like in the center, and get like a top down view, and then shift D, R, Z again. And so then you get like this kind of thing going. And then you could take the proportional editing and you could like select some points and like move it around so that they're not like all together like that. Because it's kind of obvious that you just rotated it, but as soon as you start pulling it apart with the proportional editing, it will make it more tangled. And maybe just move these like this a little bit. Okay, so get something that you like, and then make sure you apply a material to it. So we'll just call this material, and then we can go File, Export, FBX. I'll just leave this in the documents, Cobwebs tutorial. So you can drag the cobwebs in, and again, remember to just drag your material into the material slot. And then, so if you wanted, you could paint these onto the same one if you want to. So if you click edit details, you could add a detail mesh, just select the cobweb tutorial. And if you paint, this is the wrong one. That's the rocks. So you click add first, select it. And so when you're painting them, you can see that they're way too small. So for these cobwebs, you probably want less of them, and you just want to have them be way bigger. So to change the size of them completely all at once, inside of the cobwebs tutorial, you could go into the scale factor and just change it to like 5 or something. That way you're not working with like larger numbers inside of like the terrain editor thing. So let's try this. And I think that might be too much. And also the material maybe should be something else. So let's create a new material, and we'll call this, oh my goodness, web tutorial material. And so we'll apply that material instead. And then the terrain, we just want to edit this and less of them. So change the density to be lower. And then the height could be like 5. So 3 to 5 maybe. And 3 to 5 for the width too. Turn up the density a lot. So this comes up with like this cool like this cool cobweb like effect or whatever, and you can maybe turn up the height, so make it taller or whatever. And let's just look at it in game mode. I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. So max height could be less than that, maybe. Oh, I have these wrong. So 1 and 4. Okay, and then the material, we just want to change this a little bit. So what does it look like metallic? Cobwebs could be silky smooth. They definitely wouldn't be metallic. So like that maybe, and then they could also be like kind of transparent. So then just turn the alpha down just a little bit so that they're more like see-through. They shouldn't receive shadows. I think that looks even better than the cobwebs that I already had, to be honest, because I made cobwebs already. You saw them in the other room. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how you can duplicate the terrain. So like for every single room, you're not going to want to make a new terrain because that's a pain in the ass, right? So the way that we created this is we right clicked and we created the terrain and we did it all manually. But you can actually duplicate the terrain if you create a script to duplicate it. So made a terrain duplicate script already. This will be available in the description of the video for free. You're welcome to download it. This is basically, it's just like a UI editor. So when you create a method inside of, if you want an editor method, you have to put the script inside of the editor folder. So there's not an editor folder by default, but you have to create one because it won't recognize that it's there unless you do this. So inside of assets, if you create a folder called editor, you can make a script, and then inside of your editor, you can actually add things. So after you've created this script inside of the editor folder, we're adding to the game object 3D object menu this duplicate terrain with new data. So because if you copy paste a terrain, like if you just click one of these terrains and press Control D, it will copy the data. And because it uses terrain data, it will overwrite it. So let me just show you what I mean. So if you press Control D on this terrain, so you think you're editing like a new terrain, right? So let's go and move it away from where it is. So it's over here now. You're actually using the same data. So you see here on the right, it says new terrain 4. That's the same one as before. So if we take the rock editor, for example, and we hold shift and we erase it, you can see that it's erasing the rocks from the left side as well. So when you can't just duplicate the terrain. And if you create a new terrain from scratch, look how long this takes you. Like if you go 3D objects, terrain, you have to deal with resizing it again. And so like, because we have 100 rooms now or something, that's such a pain. Like technically you don't really have to resize it because you can just not draw it. So you could just put it in the general vicinity and then like you'll be able to draw on it. But anyway, so a way around this is just this script that I made. So what you can do is if you click on the terrain that I just made, because we have a lot of rooms that are the same size, you would just pick one that's like similar size to one of the ones you already have. If you right click on the terrain, you can click 3D object, duplicate terrain with new data. This will duplicate the terrain, keep everything that's on it, including the cobwebs and the rocks and whatever else you've put on it. And it will create a new terrain data inside of a folder called, yeah, so you can see, so it created a new terrain in the blank space at the bottom. So it didn't create it inside this room, it created it at the bottom here. And if you click on the thing, you can see that it's using new terrain 4 copy. If you try to duplicate this again, it will rename. It's smart. Like the way that I wrote the script, it will create a new name if it doesn't have, like if that name already exists, it will create a new name automatically. So after you've done this, you should rename, like every time you create a terrain, you should rename it. So you could call it like room 28 terrain or something. Well, that's funny that I used the exact same one, but you would just copy like the room number or something like that so that you can have it be unique. And so if we move this away, then you could draw on this one and you can see that it doesn't affect this one anymore on the left. And this, again, like I said, this is a great way to add like little details like cobwebs, for example. If you try to add game object cobwebs, you're going to do that forever. That's going to take you like literally just like forever to do, and it won't look this good. And also this makes the video card draw it. So the video card drawing it is like a huge benefit, especially with transparency, because transparency and your CPU is not good. So it's laggy. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the day. The entire project is available for download for free in the description of the video. You're welcome to download it and use whatever you want to, however you want to. The game is also available for download for free. So if you just want to play the game and you're more interested in that, you're welcome to do that. If you have any suggestions or things that you want to see added to the game, definitely let me know in the comments below. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.